Happy hump day, everybody. I'm Will Ortner. Chargers Now is presented by PrizePicks. And on today's show, we're going to talk about the international slate for the National Football League. No, the Los Angeles Chargers are not on it. And in today's program, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why this is great news for the Chargers, and all the Chargers fans should be fired up and should be excited. Now, what does the international slate look like, you might ask? Well, here we go. We've got games in Australia, Rio de Janeiro, which AKA is Brazil. We've got London, England. We've got Paris, France, Madrid, Spain, Munich, Germany, and Mexico City, Mexico. A ton of really good games, but what's most important, Los Angeles Chargers are not on that international schedule, and I think that this is a great thing. Now, last year's international game for the Chargers, obviously you're playing in Brazil against the Chiefs. It's a little bit different. I will say a week 1 international game isn't going to be the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, you want to stay as close as you possibly can to the United States, in my personal opinion, as a football player, a football coach, and a football organization. It just helps make life easier when it comes to logistics, when it comes to travel, when it comes to health concerns, and playing surfaces that teams are going to play on. I'm going to give you a greater breakdown on that in just a moment, but first I got to ask you, are you happy that the Chargers do not play overseas this season? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. Are you glad that the Chargers are playing on U.S. soil? Or would you have liked to see an international game or two? Sometimes it can be a bit whimsical. Sometimes it can be fun. And I do understand that. All right, so my first big reason why it's great that the Chargers are not having to go overseas is because there isn't any extra travel. Now, we all know when it comes to the West Coast teams, there is a greater separation between most of these football organizations than there is for teams over on the East Coast. It just is what it is. On the East Coast, they go to bed earlier, so they have a lot of bias against the West Coast teams, and the West Coast teams, they have to travel more than anybody else. When we look at the total miles traveled in 2025, there was no team that had it worse than the Los Angeles Chargers. They were flying all over the place, over 37,000 miles, almost really breaking a record there. The Los Angeles Chargers, they went everywhere. And so I think it ended up kind of showing on this team. Now, this might be a little bit of me making things or attaching things to each other that don't necessarily need to be attached, but think about it. By the end of the season, the Los Angeles Chargers were a really beat up team that looked tired, and other than maybe a couple of players on the defensive side of the football, it just looked like a team that was limping into the postseason. Now, I don't think that you can equate every injury or every player kind of taking a regression or a step back into the travel, but I certainly think that it's not that difficult to kind of connect some dots there. When you look at the miles that are going to be traveled in the 2026 season, I think it's important to note where the Los Angeles Chargers are in that 7th. Now, you still aren't outside of the top 10, but only 24,000, almost 25,000 miles is a big deal for this Los Angeles Chargers team. You don't need to travel any more than is already necessary. And when it comes to these international games, it forces the Chargers to travel more than they really want to. So I'm excited that they are staying, of course, in Los Angeles, or at least in the U.S. This entire year. Next, the weekly schedule stays largely the same. Now, obviously, there's going to be some movement for different players and for different teams, depending on when and where you play certain squads. But NFL players, football players in general, are creatures of habit. They want to do largely the same things. And when you have an international game, it screws everything up from a body schedule perspective. So if I'm a Chargers player and I'm looking at the upcoming year, I'm going, sweet. I don't have to go overseas, and I don't have to drastically change something about myself. I've got more reasons to get into here on today's program that you do not want to miss out on. But first, I got to let you know that today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app. It's the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff basketball finally here, there's no better time to cash in than with our friends at PrizePicks. And I'll tell you this, the app is really easy to use. To qualify for a PrizePicks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, hits, home runs, strikeouts, and several more across all sports. With the new social feeds feature, you can share prize picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. That includes me and producer Searle. You follow us on Prize Picks and get the picks before they even get posted on the show. I have a lineup for the basketball action going on later on this evening. Cade Cunningham, more on his points. Donovan Mitchell, more on his three-pointers. James Harden, more on his points. New user offer. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with PrizePicks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description. Another big reason why you don't want international games is because I think it can impact how a team stays healthy or not stays healthy. When we look at the Los Angeles Chargers, there's a lot of really key players on this football team that are on the wrong side of 30. I mean, Khalil Mack and Tony Jefferson, they're almost walking out there with a cane. Please don't tell them I said that. They would both beat me up very easily. Perryman, Dupree, Tomlinson, these are all guys on the wrong side of 30. And look, I'm not here to claim that I'm some elite athlete. I'm not. You can see me at the gym whenever you want down here in Dallas. And I'm telling you right now, no one's looking at me and going, wow, the body of a Greek god. But when I go and I travel to go see my family back in Washington State, I get pretty darn sore. It feels bad when I travel, and I'm 28 years old, almost 29. So imagine what the 30-year-olds are feeling after getting into essentially car crashes after car crashes after car crashes every single week playing in the National Football League. Old people do not travel well, and while being in your 30s does not make you old, at least that's what the special lady friend tells me, someone who's in their 30s in the National Football League, that's an old football player. Don't add more wear and tear to the body that you do not have to. Next, I think we all kind of noticed it last year. The playing surface is not good. These stadiums are built for soccer players. These stadiums are built for other sports. They are built for rugby. I think one is built for cricket. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, it's not a playing surface designed for football players. It's designed for 5'8" Lionel Messi to run around on the soccer pitch and then, kick a couple of balls and try and kick them into the goal. This isn't built for guys who are 320, 30, 40, 50 pounds to bang on each other down low and try and drive people while you're trying to stand your ground in the grass. It leads to the grass being torn up. And by the end of the game, the playing surface just sucks, frankly. So you're playing on a field that, frankly, is not built for a football game. There's a reason why you want to play at SoFi Stadium. Why? Because it's built for football players. It's built to withstand the wear and tear that it needs to. Those fields, internationally, they're built for soccer players. They're built for 5'8", 110-pound Lionel Messi. They're not built for people like what we have on this Chargers team. What game are you most excited for this season? The NFL schedule, it will be out tomorrow. We'll have a video out on the channel that you don't want to miss where we detail who and when and where the Chargers will be playing their opponents in the 2026 NFL season. Make sure you're subscribed, and while you're down there in that comment section, you tell me what game you're most excited to see. Lastly, I want to say there's no early games. Now, this is a bit of a selfish reason for me. I am someone that, look, I don't really have an issue getting up early in the morning. I was at the gym, not going to name the gym, but I was at the gym today by 6 a.m. Dallas Standard Time, or I guess I should say Central Standard Time, the time zone that's here out in Dallas. For me, these international games, yeah, they're early, but they're not brutal. They're what, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning over here? Well, when you're over on the West Coast, most of those early games, they're real early in the morning, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's a brutal wake up, and it's hard for a lot of fans to do it. So not only are the Chargers having to travel all this way, you're playing in front of a fan base that might not even really like the sport, but more importantly, you as a Chargers fan, me as a Chargers fan, producer Searle as a Chargers fan, we don't get to see our team play their game. Or at least we don't get to see the version of our team play our game the way that we want to. We got to get up and have a scone and some coffee instead of having, I don't know, an adult beverage and maybe a hot dog or a burger or some wings, whatever it is. It's selfish. It doesn't impact the players, but it does impact the viewing experience for me. And personally, I'd rather just not deal with it. If you love the Los Angeles Chargers, hit the thumbs up button on today's video. You love getting good news about your favorite team. We're making sure that we get that out to you. Subscribe to the channel as well. Like I said, we're going to have a video out on the schedule release, and we're going to predict what we think the Chargers' final record will be. Those are all videos coming out later on this week. Don't miss out on it. Hit that subscribe button. Come and hang out with us. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. And as always, bolt up.